Hi everybody, I'm Matt, and this is just another drop in the bucket, and I'm going to demonstrate a converter cartridge pen today for a fountain pen, and this is mostly a demonstration for my brother. I think he's trying to get back into the world of fountain pens. He's, taken a little bit of a hiatus for a long time, and he's not familiar with everything. And when I did it in front of him, I wasn't the most up to date on what to do, and now I am. And this is mostly for you, Nathan. Um, Enjoy and take a peek. This is a little bit in upside down mode, but here you can see kind of what I'm using. This is nothing other than a thick stack of about 5 layers of paper towels. I have just another little stack of paper towels that I use for the final cleaning of the nib before I dry it. And I'm going to show you the process of inking a cartridge converter fountain pen, and as best I can here in live. So this is going to be my matching color for my pen today, the Private Reserve ink, and this is ebony green. I think so it's 20 bucks, and this is a fairly large bottle. Let me take it out and I'll show you. This will literally last you probably as much as you could ever want it to. It's quite a bit, 60 milliliters. This will last you years on end. And I could throw away the box, but for now it kind of helps keep a square shape about it. The top's getting a little bit torn because it fits tight. Probably the only thing I don't like about Private Reserve. This is a very, what I call a dry and grainy ink. It writes. It's not like super slick and smooth, but it does the job. This is the one I say it kind of feels like chalk when you're writing with it. And this is the Lamy Aion Dark Forest Green. I know that's reversed in the camera. Maybe one day I'll figure out how to reverse text, but for now, that's what this says. This is a Lamy Aion and has an extra fine nib, so it can write on pretty much everything. And especially with a dry writing ink like what I have here, the Private Reserve, it will write on literally any paper you put it on. You could put it on normal, college rule, gold, whatever, yellow paper that comes in the legal pads. You could write it on that. This is just what I would call the very ordinary type of pen and ink, and it will write on anything. Nothing spectacular. It just gets the job done. This is what the outer sleeve looks like. You just pull it straight out from it. It has a magnetic top. This is the inside, what it comes with a little bit. You get a little instruction manual. The pen originally comes in a sleeve. Of course, I've long since done away with the sleeves for them. Underneath, I may have taken it out, I'm not sure at this point. Yeah, I've already taken it out. I believe it comes with the cartridge converter. If not, I know that if you get it from one of the pages, they usually give you the cartridge converter. I bought one because I didn't know that happened. They gave you one, but this is what that converter looks like. This is one that I've actually hand greased myself. Sometimes they come a little bit sticky from the factory, and I'll do another demo another day where I take one apart and show you guys. But you see how smooth that is? No effort involved. And that's because it has silicone grease on the threads. I put more silicone grease on the plunger / piston. Very smooth operation. That makes for easy inking. You can see it's multifaceted. It's not just difficult to deal with rod. I could point out a couple pieces that you could see. Of course, you have the plunger and the thread inside. You can see the threads on that. You could see it has the sealed piston in there, and you have this tube. That's another piece. This comes off the metal retention ring, and you have the grip slash twisting rod that operates everything in. So the major components, when you take this off, you slide off the metal piece, and then you can pull out this whole plastic piece, including the threaded rod and the piston tip, and you can grease those threads separately, and you can grease the sealing part of the piston, and you can clean this tube when you need. After a couple times of usage, you can clean this tube inside as well to keep things super smooth. Or if ink gets behind that piston eventually, that's what I had to do for this. I had a type of ink, it may have even been this, but those are the major components of the piston converter. So putting away some of these components. I was actually going to keep this one in storage till after I moved, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this because I promised you I would let you try out this one, because I think this will be a good starter one for you. With it being metal, you'll realize you don't want to squeeze it. You can see it's an anodized aluminum, and you can see it's kind of textured. It's not like super gloss or anything like that. It's a nice dark color. The clip is very usable. It's very tight, but it is a little bit on the springy side. You could pull it up with your fingers, so it'll go on a shirt. Here's the nib. Trying to get it back in focus. There we go. So there you have it, extra fine. There's the feed system. They have a very unique flat feed system. Gives it a very low profile. So at the grip, you can see there's two textures there. There's the rest of the pen, and then you have the grip section, and right there it threads off. And you have the same cartridge converter, but this is my one that I'm currently in use of, and I think, yep, it's not a threaded converter, so it just pushes in, but you actually feel this push in and out. Unlike some others that I have, you really can't feel it. Actually, let me think, because this has a pretty soft push in, so you got to be kind of careful. But when you're inking these, you actually don't have it off. You have it on just like that. You push it in as hard as you can, make sure it's sealed nice, and that's it. So let's get to it. Some of these are a little bit dry because it's been about a month and a half since I've opened them. Because I can, just going to kind of clean up the lid a little bit, make sure it's, woo, you can see a lot of it came off just right then. The lid was kind of wet. Alright, I'll put this out of my way for the moment. Now when I'm putting this in, I'm putting it all the way up into the grip section. And I'm going to twist it down. Here we go. Got to make sure that you're holding it so that you're actually twisting the piston and not just the converter on it. Alright, this is part 2 of the video, and I had to take a little short break there, some caring for the wife. Alright, so best practice is obviously starting off with the piston all the way down so that you have the air out before and you're not wasting extra time. And then you just turn it the other way, which is now clockwise to fill, and it feels a little bit different when you're trying to get ink in there. Make sure you're trying to keep your nib down all the way down to the grip when you're filling, and there you can see right there, that is a pretty good fill. The ink's pretty much all the way up to the piston. There's not a big air pocket. I could probably do just a little bit better, but I think I'm going to stick with that for now. So now the next step is to try to avoid getting ink on your hand at all costs. So hold it away from where there would be ink on it. Get yourself just an extra handful of paper towels. You can see I've used this one quite a bit. And this does a couple things, right? You don't want a lot of ink in your cap. You don't want it to get messy and get all over your pen and your hand and your clothes if you're putting it on your shirt or anything like that. So you're wanting to clean around the top of it, right there on the edge, and you want to clean all the ink that's both extra on the nib itself and on the feed system. It will seem like a lot of wasted ink, but that's the way fountain pen filling goes. I've seen several videos and it's just always like that. There's always a lot more ink than you ever expect, and hopefully this is a good fill. I'm pretty sure. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that it is. Move some things out of the way here. Give a little test on some page. Oh yeah. Give me just a second and I'll be right back with you. And returning from another little break. Here's just a little piece of my office right there. I couldn't get this flashlight over here to work, but just a little corner in my office where I have some of my pens. Here we have my favorite TWSBI Draco. We have my Aion that I'm about to show you. Platinum, Prefont, eye drops. I have my clear eye drop from FPR. I think it's a Gin House something or another. Platinum Preppy, which I don't think I'll be handling today. Those all have, they're cheapies, and I think one if not multiple of the cheapies is cracked because it's just injection molded plastic. It cracks over time very easily. It's also a clay jar. When I kind of dropped them in, I think that's what cracked it. They're too fragile to drop into a clay jar, so I had to wind up putting a bunch of paper towels in the bottom. Very popular item when you have fountain pens, paper towels. Coming back into scene. Sorry about the hand, folks. Is me. Alright, so for the demo today, we have here regular college rule paper to start with. We have here a Lamy notebook or a Lamy notebook. I have already been writing in it, full disclaimer. I'm not very good with outlines. This one has lines. dot grid. Didn't think I would like it. It helps a lot when you're trying to write cursive. Very cool. I'm going to show you how thick that page is versus other pages. And this is a little something I just picked up from Walgreens. Again, mostly from my bro, so he could see exactly what kind of paper it is, what it looks like, the cover. A lot of you have probably already seen it too, and just it's there and it does the trick for fountain pens. The pages are thick enough that it absorbs the ink. Feathering isn't the greatest, so you want to still write with a medium or less pen. You don't want a super wet pen. You don't want any broad nibs or anything like that. You don't need the world's wettest pen because it's going to look messy on there. You need something that puts down a little bit of ink and you can just blow right through. You don't need to be worrying about dry time or anything like that. Let's start with the regular paper. I'm going to show you because this is the thinnest paper I'm going to be writing with. The other two will not have anywhere near this level problem or forethought that you need to put into it, but in case for you, Nathan, you do wind up with regular stuff like at work or at home and you don't want to go out and get fancy stuff, this will be the basics right here. So I'm going to start off with showing you my favorite pen because I have one laying around. This is a 700 RT, and as you can see, it's black. And I think it's not having a hard time showing up for you, but this is in gray, and it's a medium point, 1.0 medium. So, medium. Alright, so again, this is gray, but it comes out kind of black on the page. Not a super dark one. It really is more of a gray ink. There are darker ones, but I love the 700 RT. As far as a ballpoint, this was my go-to ballpoint right here. The grip is very, very, very pleasurable to write with. You can see it has that little bit of soft grip. The plastic is very soft, and for the most part, it's a very pleasant ballpoint as far as ballpoints go, but it requires a bit of pressure. Writing with a fountain pen for any time, you already know the difference. Number two, I think is another Inkjoy, but this is, I'm pretty sure this is a gel pen. I can't tell you the exact model. This is one my wife got for me. They do tend to write fairly wet because it's a gel. Full disclosure, it may be red. I didn't realize that till right now. A lot of times they have the color as the cap. So let's see what happens. I don't think I've written with this yet. Blue. Alright, so just a couple seconds on that, just to give you an idea. And finally, we come to the pen of choice today, the Lamy Aion extra fine steel nib, and I have it in the Private Reserve ebony green. Alright, so I have a little line, and I'm going to show you a smudge test for each of them, and just to go with it, just to give you an idea of how much each of these would bleed through on a normal page. Now you would be surprised what the result is here. So, gray black. This is my Ink Joy. This is the blue one. It's a questionable one. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can see it actually smeared. And this is the Lamy Aion, and it had no smear, and it laid down the most ink. I prefer to write in regular English cursive. I don't write particularly well in any other scripts. I don't really care for block writing that much. I sometimes revert back to maybe half and half, but that's about it. And just a quick sample of what any of this would look like on a bleed through test. Here's against another page when you turn it. Okay, so you can not really make out any of those, including the Lamy Aion. You can see there's a little bit of shadow, but nothing that people will be like, oh, what was that in the middle of the page? And here's with the page a little ways away and some light shining through. They all look about the same. It's a little bit darker, really just because of the green ink. No more ink is used in any other pen. That's what's good about the extra fines. Now, just to give you an idea, what do these pages look like from the Lamy notebook? What are you getting for 20 bucks? To start with, a hardcover. It is shiny. You get some page keepers, some elastic to keep the book together. This has plenty of pages. And considering that it's gridded, even finer, smaller area than you would find on college rule, you're going to be writing smaller. So you're going to fit more onto the page. And it goes right up to the top pretty much. Much smaller margins. Again, it's not meant for college. It's just meant for whatever you're putting down. I couldn't find my other flashlights that would work, so see if I can get this to focus. See how shiny that is? Very glossy. Very, very smooth. Very little texture. It absorbs a lot. Very high quality fountain book paper. That's why it's 20 bucks, and it's not even 8 by 11. It's a little bit less. It's maybe 6 by 10, 6 by 8, something like that. Big enough you can get quite a few thoughts on it. This is more like college rule. This is the one with the leather back. They call this a business journal, okay? Let's get the light out of the camera. It is still pretty slick. I believe it's acid free, maybe. It's a little bit on the fuzz side when you feel it. Texture wise, you could feel it in your pen, but still pretty slick. Usable on a fountain pen for sure. Just to show you really quick, here's another page full of that. And when you turn the page, this is what fountain pen looks like on the other side. You can see it does show up. I wouldn't call it full ghosting. You could write on the other side and you'd be just fine, especially with an extra fine. It's probably written with a medium. It's really very juicy. One of my other pens, it's pretty nice. You can see the text on that, pretty bold. And that is pretty much everything in a wrap. Sorry about that, I vibrated the camera setting that down. Just to show you, this is a surprise for the wifey right here. The paper is crown mold invitation paper. That is texture showing up. There you go. Texture, fluff, everything. Very, very textury when you're writing on it, but feels very premium in the hand. Same thing with the paper inside. It's very thick. For whatever reason, they're premium stuff. It looks like it was cut by hand with a very jagged tool. There you go. Kind of came into focus there. You see that? Right there. Jagged lines. Looks like someone used kind of a jagged knife. Has an old, like, papery, scrolly look. I don't particularly care for it. If I was to get another thing, I'd probably do, I don't know, one of the other brands. Still nice, but not this. I like the color. I like the fact that this is kind of the cream off-white. The texture is very premium, but I don't particularly care for the jagged nature of it. I'll obviously use it because I have a bunch of them now. It is very nice. It's the best of the best, but you know, you don't know what you don't know until you get it. Once you get something in hand, then you know. That wraps it up. So my favorite ink joy for a ballpoint, a little bit water, possibly gel pen on the red, white, and blue Americana. And the Lamy. And when you come here, Nathan, just heads up, it won't be this weekend, I don't think. Jamie Joe's wanting to just do the car elsewhere. Cut back a few. Okay, and I think that wraps it up.